generally, I support the idea of kind of what Gene called making Broadway a local street, slowing it down. And I think this contributes to it. It sort of spreads it further downtown. I like the part of the plan that talks about flexibility on the west side of Union Square, where you're sort of going to feel a new way. I guess what I like about the whole thing is that this is a pilot project, and that we're, DOT is acknowledging that you're still going to look at it. You're still figuring out how to go. I'm not quite as concerned about the cross-town traffic or the traffic issue of all the cars that came down Broadway, because I think those cars tend to find their way back onto one-way uptown and downtown streets where the lights are timed and they're going to move faster, and I don't think they're going to end up on Park Avenue South or they're going to stop every third block. But I think, going back to the original, I think our resolution, I think it should flag that we need to look at regularly how the traffic is being affected and act on it as time passes, not waiting until the 3 months or the 6 months goes by. But generally, I support the
Before I give my comments and wrap this up with the resolution, there were some people who had some comments. Now, again, I just wish to ask you that they be comments restricted to issues that have not been covered yet. That gentleman put his hand up first, so I'll go with you. Yes, please,
yes,
and please introduce yourself.
Yes, my name is Bill Abramson. I represent the owners of 1 Union Square West. First of all, I want to thank the members of the DOT that are here tonight, and the Commission and the Mayor for some very innovative programming with the traffic pattern, as well as the members of the Community Board, former Chair of Community Board number 8. You guys spend your time pro bono, so I appreciate the fact that we're still here. We want to go on record as opposing the closure of Union Square West between 14th and 15th Street. There's very innovative thoughts about the programming and the traffic patterns on the north side of the park, but I haven't heard anything about the economic impact that this closure of the street's going to have, particularly in front of us. To be candid, it's a NIMBY issue. Mr. Buckbinder and Mr. Warren Butt purchased that building about 40 years ago. Mr. Buckbinder is a founding member of Union Square Park, 14th Street bid, if you will, and we feel it's going to significantly have a negative impact on our business. Our entrance is on Union Square West. Okay, our deliveries coming through there, all our tenants come through there, and if the closest entrance would make it on 14th Street, okay, where there's a bus stop, it makes you just can't pull over there because the bus stop there. So I just wanted to go on record, and we'll work with the Union Square Partnership further, but I wanted the community board to be aware this is certainly going to.
Before I let that comment go, do you have a response to that?
To the access to the building?
Yeah, I mean, that's really what's going to cause
I mean, it's literally the building's on the northwest corner, 14th Street University. Diesel's the tenant there, our tenant there.
Right.
And our entrance is on Union Square West. So people, again, we have chiropractors there, people come in wheelchairs, and most people are healthy, and it's minor, an issue, but a relatively minor issue to deliveries and sanity.
Right. I mean, we can always make efforts to have a delivery window and sort of work that out if there are, and this is good to hear, maybe I can get your contact information. If you have, wheelchair, ambulance, accessoride, other things like that on that block?
I mean, like I said, that's a minor issue. I mean, it's chiropractic, but it's really deliveries and access. That's our entrance on Union Square West. It's not 14th Street. So any delivery during the day, I mean, I understand this is obviously for safety reasons, fire trucks zip by there all the time to run Union Square West. And that's where we have these hours that can be removed, and it could be temporary, from what I understand, from the morning till the evening. But during the day is when people come to, visit our tenants, whether it's Diesel, the retail store, or whether it's our 50 or 60 tenants in the building.
And you feel that entering from 14th Street is not going to work?
It's definitely going to have a negative. It may work, and we're willing to work with the community to figure out the best solution, but it's definitely going to have a negative impact for our tenants and for us as owners.
On the other hand, if it's residential, I mean, I would imagine.
No, it's not residential.
Not at all residential.
No, it's full commercial.
Okay, good. So let's talk more.
Sir, yes, please stand up and introduce yourself.
My name is Noah Osmus. I've lived in the neighborhood for over 20 years. I support your proposals almost in their entirety. I think there's two things you didn't mention which I think are important. One is the traffic that does come eastbound on 17th Street, even though that's sort of a 2-lane turn onto Park Avenue South, it functionally ends up being 1 lane. And I think you're right that you've got, that's really where the the core of this logjam is, because 17th Street is the first westbound street north of 14th. And so really, I think the whole thing spills out of control at that corner with the pedestrian problems, and then moves back up, up 17th Street, then back up onto Broadway. What I would suggest, if you take into consideration to address the concerns of the votes at 222, is at 18th Street, for the right-hand turn onto Park Avenue South, that you take serious consideration of getting rid of the parking on Park Avenue South. Because again, it's the right-hand turn onto 17th Street at 17th Street, and now the new right-hand turn onto Park Avenue South that will be a partial bottleneck. So if you can keep Park Avenue South open between 18th and 17th Street, that would work very well. And then to address this gentleman's comment, in Europe you have a lot of these retractable bollards, and I don't know if I don't think we've actually ever done them in New York, but it's something to consider where you have you can drill into the street and you have pneumatic bollards that can be raised and lowered at different times, and that may be a very effective way to allow access to some of these other areas on the south end of the park instead of having to have gates.
Yeah. But those are really tricky to maintain.
Yes.
Snow, salt,
Yep.
trucks,
Yep.
right? But we're very interested in that kind of thing.
Anyone else? And again, an additional comment.
Hi, Bruce Plank. Have you considered maybe not having the barrier on 18th and Broadway and being able to go straight, so take some of the pressure off of 18th Street, so where you'd make left, instead of making a left, you could also go straight and make a right on 17th Street. And this way, people who want to, go west, they could go straight down and make a right instead of getting stuck on making left on 18th Street.
Yeah, the issue with that is if you're a southbound trip, the next street you get to is Fifth Avenue, so it's much more. You'd be coming south and west if you're on Broadway, right, heading towards Park Avenue. So it's much more natural. The right turn, because of the angle of Broadway onto 17th Street, that's where most of the pedestrians are. So asking the traffic to make that right turn onto 17th in that crosswalk would be a lot more problematic than the left. And sort of the further, I think the suggestion, we're more leaning towards the suggestions about cutting it off earlier than cutting it off later. Because again, the traffic management principle is to make Broadway accessible and make it so everyone can get there, but to take away the temptation for the through traffic away from Union Square. So I'm sort of more intrigued by the ideas that people gave about things further north and moving it further south, if that makes sense.
Yes.
My name is Lisa Kaplan. I work for City Council Member Rosie Mendez, whose district this includes. But I'm actually was asked by Ian Dutton, who is a member of the Transportation Committee of Community Board 2, to just say on his behalf that he's very supportive of DOT's efforts to make Broadway less of a through route and more a destination.
Thank you. Jennifer?
I live at 29th and Broadway, and in fact you photographed in your presentation actually showed the corner that I live in. And I've obviously been experiencing the pilot and was excited to come here and see what you've learned from the earlier reiterations. And I have to say, I'm disappointed because while the bike lane goes through and I see the best of the different variations that you've done going north of 59th Street, I don't see any improvements from the version that is from 34th Street to 23rd Street, which still, I think, causes a lot of safety issues, pedestrians, bikes, and cars, because you have everybody treating everybody like they're the other. And I really think you should be going back and figuring out how to work that, because I don't think pedestrians are happy with it, I don't think bikers are happy with